entrepreneurship, cuts off capital to so much of the healthy economy, which is what you're seeing now in the way the credit crunch is being engineered. We're shutting off money to all these different productive sectors, and if we stop doing it, the wealth could be enormous. I mean, there's really no reason for there to be poverty at all. We have the resources. And a part of it is, because you've covered this as the sort of, suppression of new technology. And I was astonished. And for about a week, I just walked around laughing. I couldn't stop laughing because I realized, there's plenty of money. There really is no problem at all. And then, of course, the Department of Justice seized our offices and stole all the databases and kept them under lock and key for 6 years, which is when I discovered, that there really is an intentional effort to channel capital and restrict it in a way that really keeps things very much under control. And we're running the economy to achieve centralized control, not to achieve wealth. If anything, we're trying to reduce the middle class to a state of, not having the wealth that really supports freedom. Because our Constitution and our freedoms, Alex, really depend on not having our digital data and our physical bodies and our money controlled by somebody else very centrally.
And should that even be surprising to us? You look at the Japanese feudal model, you look at the European continental model of the last 1,000 years, you look at the British model of the last 800. You look at all of these systems, it was written down in handbooks by the royalty and their lords to keep people at a subsistence level to make them more easily controlled. I mean, this is the way the world has always worked. It was only the Renaissance and the Enlightenment that reversed that, and then we saw all these inventions and technology and wealth, and the non-existent middle class suddenly appeared.
Right, and now we have a new problem, and if we're going to build a new alternative to the New World Order, then we have to grapple with some of the issues that they're legitimately grappling with, which is we have new powerful communications and digital technology, and that technology, Alex, allows some groups to have phenomenally high learning speeds. And what has happened in this country is some people have shot way ahead and, gone much faster, whereas other people have sat back and said, I don't want to change. But what I want is I want to continue to get my check. And so we've had a political process in this country which wasn't democracy. It was simply politicians buying electorates with their own money. And
Stay there. Let's talk about that, because the elite are creating a giant domesticated mass that they can use as a weapon against the tiny middle class that's left. Then once they get rid of them, they remove the chicken feed from their slaves. Catherine Austin Fitts, Solari.com. Stay with us. Pressure from above, pressure from below. We're going right back to Catherine Austin Fitts here in just a moment with her discovery that the system knew that there was almost unlimited wealth generation capacity and that they didn't want that. Instead, they wanted to go in the opposite direction towards wealth destruction. What do the fake environmentalists say? What does Maurice Strong say? World government, global carbon taxes to shut off industrial development. But even if you don't like industrial development, there's so many other economies. They're stifling it all because that's how they control the economy. Don't forget, we premiered Invisible Empire, A New Order Defined last week to rave reviews, DVD available at Infowars.com. Your purchase makes this radio broadcast possible and funds this operation. And premiering today at PrisonPlanet.tv. The DVDs are already shipping. Police State 4, The Rise of FEMA. It's going to premiere at the end of the radio broadcast in an hour and a half. Okay, Catherine Austin Fitts, for those that just joined us, Assistant Secretary of Housing, Federal Housing Commissioner for Bush 41, investment banker, portfolio strategy of over $300 billion in financial assets and liabilities. She's designed and closed over $25 billion of transactions herself. She, of course, was on the board of Dillon Read and the just a top analyst out there. Such a great financial brain. We're honored to have her. Catherine, continuing where we left off with, you have this awakening. You discover from the numbers that the system is designed to suppress wealth. Please continue.
Right, so I went through, it took me about 10 years to finish learning how to litigate successfully with the federal government. But what I discovered, Alex, is that real solutions are going to have to come from the grassroots. And the important question is not how do we turn this around, but how do we get energy turning it around? Because what we have to do, every person who's listening to this call is being drained by this process. And what we need to do is reverse the drain. We need to reverse the drain in our individual lives and then in our family and then our community, and it goes out. And so, you know, if you come to our one of our websites, it says redeeming the monetary system one customer at a time. So we have to do this we have to do this individually. Can't wait for the big solutions on how we're going to have to turn this around ourselves. And so the question I've been working on since then, in whether it's me personally or in my businesses, is how do I start to get back my power, and how do I prevent the drain in my life? Because essentially, if you look at our money, we're all being harvested by the system, and so that's what we have to do. Is we need the wealth growing, and we need it in a way which is growing in your pocket, in my pocket, in the pocket of everybody listening to this call. Okay. So if they want a wealth-destroying model, we want a wealth-building model. And the way you do that is by building your wealth and my wealth and the wealth of everybody on this phone call. Okay? So one of the things I'd like to do is to walk through, let's look at each person's time and our health and our money and just make some simple suggestions of what we can do to reverse the drain in our lives. And if all of us start to do it, it's going to have an unbelievably dramatic effect on shifting power and wealth out of the New World Order and much more into the grassroots. So let's just talk about an individual. And the first most important thing you have to do, Alex, is you have to protect your time, because time is so valuable in this environment. And I just want to tell everyone, and they probably know it because they're listening to the Alex Jones Show, but we've got to get radical about getting unreliable people and information out of our lives, particularly corporate media. I mean, if you look at what's going on, you don't even have the time to be entertained by the disinformation, because it's such a complete waste of time. So please turn off corporate media. I want to tell you, I often tell people to bank locally, and I'm often asked, well, it's much more convenient, or isn't it really okay to bank at the big banks? And I just want to tell a story of what happened to me in the last week. In the last 3 days, my company has gotten hit by 2 unauthorized ACHs, electronic transfers from big banks. It's going to take us 5 to 7 hours this week just to reverse them. And it's not going to be a problem for us because we have a great local community bank. But that's the kind of tax these guys put on people. You literally just wake up and they've taken money out of your account that's not authorized. It's incredible. And that's why you want to get as far away from these guys. You don't want them to have an authorization to dip into your account, because then things like this are going to happen. You there?
Yes, I'm here. I'm just listening to you.
So get radical about getting these people out of any relationship with you that can eat up your time. Okay, so that's number one, time. Number 2 is health. Get radical about environmental pollution. I just did a Solari report on chemtrails, just because I want people to understand the kind of poisoning that literally, I have so many subscribers who take wonderful care of themselves. They're responsible about their health. They eat the right food and everything, so they think they're okay. And we need to understand we're not. And whether it's chemtrails or vaccines or all the things you've covered, these really are enormous stresses and strains on our immune system and a buildup of toxicity that can really hurt a person. And I'm an investment advisor, Alex, and there's nothing that will hurt your financial position more than bad health. I mean, bad health is really the cause of more bankruptcies and financial problems in this country than anything else.
Well, since you're cueing me to interrupt, I'm trying to be polite because I want to hear what you have to say. I'll interrupt. And again, I'm not up here on a mountain.
Quiet, Alex. It's unnerving.
No, but I don't want to sit up here on a mountain because I'm certainly not as healthy as I should be. But absolutely, the Bible says that. You've got to get your temple clean and your self clean first before you can start fixing your life and then your city, your county, your state, the world. And so we've all, number one, got to feel good about ourselves, realize that this Madison Avenue system is there to make us feel insecure so they can then sell us their false solutions. We've got to feel good about ourselves. We've got to get our relationship with God going again, and we've got to realize that we've got to take action against this evil and just start taking a walk every morning. Start eating healthier. Stop drinking fluoridated water. I mean, there's a reason, and the evidence has been very clear on this for new listeners.
We've reached the point where if you walk into the average, typical grocery store, the food is not safe to eat. It's amazing.
And that's done by design. I mean, the globalists are poisoning the food and water. They have genetically engineered the crops. Every major crop they found just so happens to make you sick, just so happens to give you stomach problems, just so happens to reduce fertility. No, they've been caught engineering it into these. I mean, they know what they're doing.
If you have any doubt about this, there's a wonderful DVD made in 2006. It's up online. You can get it on my blog. It's called Killer at Large. And it really focuses on what they're doing to the children with the food. And particularly if you have kids or grandkids, please watch Killer at Large. There's another great one, Super Size Me. There are lots of great DVDs on the food system, but making sure that you and your family have fresh food and clean water without fluoridation and all the chemicals is so important. And then I would include in the health area the ability to protect yourself.